I know, controversial take, but honestly, hear me out, and I think I am going to give you at least a few thoughts as to why aphids, at least I don't think so, they're not really pests. So let's get into a few ideas here. Main one being that if you are wanting to attract insects, you need to be able to give them food. And food is not just the flowers, which are attracting the adult ladybugs, beetles, and the lacewing and other hoverflies and such. We have to think of the food for the larva, for the young state of these insects. And they are wanting aphids. They're wanting soft-bodied insects. So if we're getting rid of them, the aphids, why should the other beneficials that we're wanting show up? Sure, the adults will show up. They'll enjoy some of the flowers and kind of look around. But they're not going to stay. They're not going to lay eggs. So I think of aphids as kind of the krill of the land, that so many of our insects are depending on those aphids. And ultimately, they are the foundation of the food chain. But, how do we allow for this? Because, as we all know, aphids, sap-sucking, they're feeding on the plant, and pretty much overnight, it seems as though their population explodes. You go from finding one or two, and a week later, it seems as though the plant is covered. But if you're using insecticides, you're using other chemicals, and you end up with nothing eating your plant, that actually should be a concern. Think about it. Should we be even eating ourselves from a plant if there is nothing nibbling on it? But how do we accept and allow for some of this, what I call nibbling? And how does a plant survive with some of this? First off, let go of some of the aesthetics, if you will. Yes, there's going to be honeydew. There's going to be a little bit of what's called sooty mold, which is a fungus that grows on the honeydew. And those are just aesthetic things. They will disappear. It really comes down to the health of the plant. If you're focusing on soil health and you're building a healthy soil, you're watering as you need to, you're going to have healthy plants. And they're going to be able to withstand some of the insects that are going to show up and nibble and feed on some of the sap. And in the case of the aphids, yes, they are going to go for some of the healthy new growth. But as that honeydew increases, yes, you're going to have some ants show up. But that honeydew is also going to attract lacewing. It's going to attract the ladybugs. They're going to realize there are aphids, there's food. And in that happening, you're going to have the ladybugs showing up and laying their eggs right there near the colony. Because they're going to say, hey, there's a spot here for my young, my larva, to feast. And same with the lacewing. And something that doesn't get mentioned often enough, hoverflies. They produce these tiny well, they lay tiny eggs. Those eggs hatch and end up being these tiny kind of maggot caterpillar looking larvae, which I know sounds a little creepy, but they will feast on aphids and other soft-bodied. So you'll find them right there in the middle of an aphid colony. And between those three, along with assassin bugs and minute pirate bugs and half a dozen others that I could name, they're going to take care of that colony of aphids pretty quickly. I don't know if this really is going to convince you. Obviously, I'm not suggesting you just let your plant die, but I really want to emphasize focusing more on the soil health and watering and your overall plant health. And healthy plants are going to be able to withstand a little bit of pressure, and they're going to be more resilient because of it. And ultimately, you're going to provide a habitat for the beneficials that you want to show up. And they are going to stay, and they are going to make a home, which is what we're all wanting. So I hope this gives you some thoughts, and I will see you next time.